Hi, everyone. It's Paul Daniels. And thank you to those of you that asked for additional information around peripheral thinking. In a recent video that was posted by a friend of mine, I was on his podcast. I talked about peripheral vision and peripheral awareness and asked if you would like to have more information around peripheral thinking, just to message me on LinkedIn. And thank you very much for doing it. So I'm excited today to share more about this with you. As a refresher, in the original video, we talked about an imaginary scenario where you're in a mountain field with lots of wildflowers, and in front of you, you see your challenge or you see the goal that you've set. And we did an exercise where we put our hand over our eyes and said, gosh, I can't see what's right in front of me, but what can you see? So we moved our eyes to the left, we moved our eyes to the right, we looked up, we looked down with our hand in front of us, and we took our hand away. And you remember that that was an example of peripheral vision. And then we talked about peripheral awareness, which meant we looked to the right and we looked to the left and we looked up and we looked down, theoretically. And what we noticed then was more clarity about what was happening around us. We could see something more specific, in more focus when we looked in those different directions. And that's peripheral awareness. And then we talked about the challenge that we face or the goal that we're setting. And we moved 100 yards to the right. And we looked at our goal from there and we said, gosh, that it does bring different perspective to it, perhaps a little bit more detail, maybe the depth of what it is you're trying to achieve. And then we moved, theoretically, around that challenge or goal at 360 degrees, a common 360-degree review of an issue or a goal, okay? Where we left off there was one of the downfalls of peripheral awareness, or even just a 360-degree view of a challenge, is that it's still from your perspective. Even if you take your team with you and you move around that challenge and you get all this input, that's still the collective knowledge or the group's basis of truth that is informing the way you see that challenge or that goal. So let's talk about true peripheral thinking. We move now 100 yards to the right. Instead of looking at our challenge, we look around. So we're spending time in the periphery, and what do we see? Not our challenge, what else do we see? Well, likely you see other people that are facing their own challenges or trying to achieve their own goals and objectives. And they may have absolutely nothing to do with your business, or so it may seem. Learning from the people in the periphery is the beginning of your journey into peripheral thinking and how to apply that to your business. So there's 4 quick steps that I tell my clients and my friends about peripheral thinking, how to get started doing it. The first one is contact. You must make contact with that person that's standing 100 yards to your right, with their own challenges and their own industry, their own goals that they're setting. And I call this the baker in Bulgaria. What does a baker in Bulgaria have to do with your business? Well, let's find out. First, you have to make contact. You have to purposefully seek out people that are not in your industry, that are not in your country or region or state or city. In other words, get outside of the normal sphere of people that you work with. The goal is to learn from someone completely different than you. So first, you make contact with that baker in Bulgaria. And if any of you do this, as I've asked other people in the past to let me know, please message me and tell me that you found a baker in Bulgaria or who it is that you connected with. So you contact that individual and you say, look, no sales, not pitching anything. I'm not selling anything. I just want to learn. And I'm fascinated with your business, which is completely different than mine. And if you're up to it, can we spend some time getting to know each other? And I'll share about my business, you share about yours. Who knows what'll happen? Contact is made. The second of the 4 C's is context. That's learning about that individual, both personally and professionally. Now, you don't want to go too far and try and get into their, the marital challenges or difficulties raising children or whatever that is, but get some context about what it's like to be them, what it's like to be in their country or in their industry or as an owner or as an individual that owns a company that's been a family business for generations. Get the context about how they got where they are and sort of what their day-to-day life is like. That's a great way to build that relationship, which takes us to the 3rd C, which is content. You want to understand what they've achieved, how they've achieved it, the challenges that they're facing, how they believe they'll overcome those challenges. Taking in that content through the filter of the context now gives you a wealth of understanding and experiences that you might not otherwise have seen or experienced. It also gives you access to solutions, approaches, methods that perhaps you might not have considered for your business. When you do the first 3, you start to begin to build a repository of proven solutions regardless of the industry. And that repository then can inform how you address your challenge, how you set and achieve or overachieve your goals. It's not uncommon for technology, for instance, that has been applied for decades in an industry to be considered revolutionary in another industry. It's how much innovation happens. Which takes us to our 4th C, which is connect. You begin to connect the solutions that you've gathered from your contact through their context and content. You now have a repository of actionable solutions that have already been proven. And you can choose which of those apply directly or could apply directly to your goal or your challenge, or could be mated with other solutions to create something brand new as a new goal, new product, new solution to a challenge that you're facing. So that's the beginning of peripheral thinking. There's a lot more to it, obviously, but I challenge you. Get out, meet some people, learn about them, learn what they have learned and the solutions that they've applied, and to determine whether or not it might apply to you. Until our next video, I'll see you in the periphery.